Okay, hi, Dr. Urban. This is the group presentation with Chandrina, Christian, Crislin, Madeline, and Dana. And we're going to be talking about the connections between our research. And just to start out with, having watched these presentations, I see a lot of connections between the American Romanticism and especially Thoreau, the slave narrative, Fern and Dickinson with the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matter movement. And so that's what I'm planning on doing for my final research paper, the connections between those two and how those connections can help with teaching secondary school students. So I found all of the research here very interesting and very well articulated about the connections between the writers and today. And I definitely think this is something that students can relate to, high school and middle school students. So all of this research has been very, very helpful to me. And now I'm going to turn it over to some of the other students so they can talk more about their research.
Hi, Dr. Urban. So, as she stated, I believe that all of our research kind of ties in together, especially when you're speaking of the culture today and how we see kind of the impact of American Romanticism, mainly for our research, Thoreau, civil disobedience, and many other things that we tied into Black Lives Matter and things that are happening today. One thing that we notice is just kind of how the evolution of it all just kind of transpires into today's society and today's culture. Like, for example, Thoreau, was more about civil resistance or just resisting anything that kind of crossed his consciousness. If it didn't feel right, if it did not connect with his inner strength or inner self, it was like resisted. It's better to stand with what you believe in than to stand for injustice. However, Dr. King, you see more so that they deal with the respect perspective of things, like, this is our dignity, this is our culture, this is our race. And so what we believe in, you have to respect us. I think Dr. King kind of fought more so for injustice for his entire race. And it was like, we matter, we have a voice, we should be equal to everybody in the world. And they did it respectfully. Not only did they desire respect, but they kind of presented civil disobedience respectfully. However, today you have Black Lives Matter, which comes just, I kind of define it as just a relentless pursuit of equality. It's like all races coming together to relentlessly pursue equality. There's no stopping us. We're going to do this no matter what. We're going to show up. We're going to be one voice, and we're going to be the example of what we want to see. And so I think showing the evolution of what's happening from decades to kind of impact, to how it's impacting us now, is where we all kind of tie in as a group.
And I just want to piggyback off of what you said when you talked about Thoreau being about um, resistance. And I also talked about how he's so in tune with nature. And with him being in tune with nature, I feel like he felt like to be in tune with nature, you're really free. And that's kind of what the Black Lives Matter movement is about. It's about freedom and equality. And in order for us to truly be free, we have to fight for what we believe in. And that's what I like most about the Black Lives Matter movement, is because, like you said, it's not just about one group of people. I think when people hear Black Lives Matter, they only think about Black people, but no, it's about all people. But we can't really be free until we're all free, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, I like when you said that. So yeah.
So I'm going to piggyback off of what all of you said already, but so Christian, you stated things about freedom. So I think that kind of correlates exactly with what I'm going to say next. So in my presentation, I talked a lot about Frederick Douglass and his piece called What to the Slave is the 4th of July, which basically focuses on individual slaves as people, and they just want evolution and freedom. So basically, he talks about how the 4th of July was, you know, kind of a contradiction because, like you said, like everyone said, Black people just want freedom. They want equality, which is something very prevalent that we see throughout the Black Lives Matter movement. So I found that really interesting. So, Chrislyn, you talked a lot about evolution and like how these groups have evolved. So I feel like the Black Lives Matter movement is definitely an evolution from, you know, the African American narrative slave writers from, you know, back then. And then just on the topic of holidays, we're talking about 4th of July. I spoke about in my presentation how Halloween this year had gotten a lot of backlash because a lot of people dressed up as cops. And this obviously has not been a very good year for cops for good reason. And so a lot of people got backlash for dressing up as cops and being very insensitive, which just kind of correlates with the whole everyone getting backlash for celebrating the 4th of July. And then, Shan, I know you talked about the 4th of July in your PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, so my presentation was about Fannie Firm and the idea that, you know, in Independence Day, you know, okay, what did he do? Y'all got independence from England. Well, you know, as a woman and as a Black woman, I'm not free. What is it for me to celebrate? And just to piggyback off of what everybody else was saying was that in Fannie Firm's Independence Day, she basically was saying the same thing. I matter too. Like, what about me? Why am I being left behind? Why do I still have these same shackles on? Why can't I have the same freedom to roam and move as everyone else? And we can look at it from a perspective of her just simply being a Black person, but also, you know, a woman in general. You know, during that point in time, women couldn't travel without the permission of a man, or just simply couldn't travel alone unless they had a man there with them. So the whole idea of independence really just wasn't it for her as a woman, but simply as a Black person. And what they're saying in today's time is that, you know, it feels like Black people have a thing of some sense of independency, but not really, because we still experiencing a sense of unfairness. They're experiencing, you know, racial inequalities in different areas, the same way that Fannie Firm and Walter Thoreau and Martin Luther King wrote about. We still experiencing that today, and there needs to be a change.
I have a question. Well, not really a question, but a comment. Like, what do you guys feel about, like, because that's something I'm doing my research paper on, is, you know, the evolution of the movement, but that we still face this huge mountain of injustice. You know what I mean? It's like the movement evolved, you know, and it's like you have, you know, Black Lives Matter, and how everyone's coming together as one voice to help drive kind of this movement of injustice, to say, hey, this mountain has to get out of the way. But realistically, you still have that independent decision that everyone makes to say, you know, and not just talking about Black people, but talking about women too. You know, like, one thing about me is, like, I'm a female, like, pastor. You know, I'm 37 years old, and my husband, you know, technically kind of pastors behind me, I guess, beside, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm the lead. And so that's hard for a lot of people. It's like, wait, you're a woman? You know, how dare you? Like, what is going on? So I was like, okay, we got some great movements, but it ain't moving.
I like how you mentioned that you're a pastor.
I spoke about this in my presentation.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay, we're moving. Okay.
Sorry, I thought I started talking. My internet connection, but the whole, just the whole idea that now we have a female and Black vice president. I feel like that is really evolving in the right direction, which I don't know like her exact race, but I do know she has maybe some Chinese descent also. Maybe I read that somewhere. But I mean, nonetheless, it's the first woman and the first person of, color too. Well, besides Obama, but y'all get what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And also how Crystalline had mentioned that you're a pastor, and I'm a preacher's kid. I come from a family full of preachers, and I know that back in the day, it used to be a thing where they, especially in the Black community, they didn't really believe that women were supposed to be preachers. And I don't really know where that came from, but I know that like in certain denominations, Baptists or some of them, or like Kojic organizations, they didn't believe in women leading a church. They felt like women were supposed to be behind their husbands and just sit cute on the first row with the church hat. So I like the fact that we've evolved and that we're living in a time where women can basically, you can do what you want to do and be whatever you want to be without someone telling you, oh, you can't because you're a woman, or you can't lead because you're a woman. So I like the fact that we've evolved and that women are basically, we're leading with the guys now.
Yeah, yeah.
The only thing I can say is the whole point of this semester that I got from the American Romanticism era is, going against the grain. We're going against the grain for everybody. Everybody should have that freedom to decide what they want to be, how they want to maneuver throughout life. Everybody don't have the same path. Everybody don't walk the same way. If we all went down the same line, nothing about the world would be different. I mean, we're all women, and look at us, making that move. Just imagine if, the women ahead of us didn't, use their voice and their words to, give us the privilege to even speak on this.
That's good.
Well, I applaud you for being a female minister. I know that having worked in a school for the past 20 years, that institutional racism is real. What Black Lives Matter is talking about within the school systems is real. And I think that the more teachers that we have that are committed to fighting institutional racism, the better off we are. I mean, I'm going to be leaving because I've eventually I want to teach a college class because I don't see myself as being a secondary teacher for the next 10 years, but that's going to be hard too because I know a lot of college professors are men. But I don't face that now in the classroom as a female because that's most teachers are female. But there are many people that will I guess not understand Black Lives Matter, not understand Me Too, and misinterpret it, and never talk about it in the classroom. But I think that's where it belongs, and it's time that it be discussed in schools. And I just wanted to tell you guys how helpful it was to hear you talk and articulate the connections between the Romantic period writers and these movements, because it helps me understand how to articulate it to my students better, and to continue to fight honestly, because it's a battle. And I usually say politics has no place in the classroom, but really, if it's going to save kids, it needs to be discussed. It needs to be studied in the context of how does it connect with Martin Luther King? How does it connect with Thoreau? How does it connect with Douglass? And how does Me Too connect with Dickinson and Byrne? And so I hope that you guys some of you will think about becoming teachers because we need you. Is anybody even considering it?
Me, I
No?
want to be an English teacher.
You want to be a what?
English teacher. Well, I want to teach college level.
Yeah, I understand. Well, you guys would be fine English teachers, every single one of you. I mean, you could step into a classroom tomorrow and be fine. So,
I feel like I learned so much from everyone. Y'all did it great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Same here.
You do.
well, I will see if I can get this uploaded to YouTube, and then I'll post the link on the class webpage, and y'all can always take it down if that's not what you want to upload to Dr. Irvin. I'll tell him we're still working on it.
Okay.
But unless anybody has anything else they want to say, because I took notes on everything you guys were saying.
I think it was good.
I think so too.
Thank you. All right. Well, everybody, I hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving and stay safe.
You too.
All right.
Happy
Bye,
Thanksgiving,
everyone.
y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.